Good morning, dear friends. I'm Dr. Mukesh Pareek, and after so many days, I have come back live. Sorry for that because I was busy in my online classes, and today I thought like I should start again, delivering something to the students. Uh, Today, I have come up with a lecture on enlightenment. So, if you remember, a few days back, I posted a lecture on, uh, that age which we call the age of, say, from 1610 onward, or say you can say from the Jacobean till the Restoration period. I delivered a great lecture for that. Great in the sense, not that my lecture was great in the sense it was a long lecture, clear, and that somehow cleared certain topics to some of my students, and then I uploaded it on YouTube. Today my lecture is on, you can share the video so that the other students can also come to know about this lecture and they can join us. Today's lecture is on enlightenment. Friends, as the term itself tells us, that enlighten means getting knowledge, okay? And there are two meanings of enlightenment. One meaning is purely used in the sense of spirituality, clear, like getting moksha, like say the Buddha, he got enlightenment. But the kind of enlightenment which I am talking about, because I'm not a saint and I can't talk about that spiritual enlightenment, this topic which I have come up with is about an age, when you all know that Renaissance humanism, where in the European countries, they altogether tried to wipe the kind of fundamentalism from religion, wipe out, and they started talking about the human being that can be the center. They try to understand that human being should be the center, or he is the center of the whole universe, and everything can be understood by taking into consideration humanity. Okay, that's why we call it Renaissance humanism. And then you all know that the corruption from the church, I cannot say that exactly vanished, but then there were certain experiments, overdone by the people, and certain things were quite, causatively becoming better in all the European countries. For example, Protestantism came. Then you all are aware that the divine rights of king, which was a basic thing considered there, the divine rights of kings were curbed, and people started questioning that how can a human being among us be divinely, say, blessed. Okay, so they started changing the modes of government there. Okay, so as you all are aware, that restoration age, or say restoration period, when Charles II was restored, and then after his coming back to throne, this England, it altogether started moving into a direction where we all know they started putting more stress on reasoning. I would like to draw your attention on one particular literary thing, that is, if you remember, Essay on Man, written by yes, Kundan, it was actually a surprise. I thought like I should deliver something to my Facebook students also. Don't worry, you will ultimately come to know about whether I'm taking class or not. Okay, so today's lecture is on enlightenment, as I was simply giving you a base, like, what is enlightenment. One more thing, that if I deliver any lecture regarding all these terms, which are not taken by the students very seriously, they are always running behind texts, or say the solving of the papers and objective questions and all. But if you don't understand these important philosophical movements, which ultimately shaped the literature, you may argue it, but I believe, based on my long experience of teaching and understanding and being an educated person, that philosophical movements have something to do, with giving literature a direction. I think you would agree with me, because it so happened that somehow, I'm not saying that a writer is a philosopher, not always, but somehow a writer is influenced by the philosophers, clear. And philosophers have always been there, in almost every country. So this Enlightenment movement, and one more thing, that philosophy also comes, philosophy is the mode of thinking. And I think thinking is causal, causal, causal. Why? Because something happens around you, and then more sensitive and more conscious people, they start thinking about something, and they start searching for the answers, like why something is happening like that. अगर ये कुछ ज़्यादा हो गया है, तो let me explain it in a simple language. For example, few days back in our class, I think yesterday itself, we were talking about existentialism, and that philosophy of existentialism somehow in Western countries that came, or that emerged because of certain scientific experiments. And these scientific experiments, they made the people of European countries believe that our life is a kind of devoid of God. And that is the reason that they moved towards such a philosophy. And then all the other literature, for example the Theatre of Absurd, and all the novels, for example the novels of Graham Greene, though he himself was a great Catholic adherent, okay, but still there is a lot much existentialism present in his novels. So let me be limited to my topic today, that is Enlightenment. And now in the coming half an hour, I'll be just talking about different philosophers and their different terms and all. So if you are ready with your notebooks, that would be fine for me. First of all, write down that the roots of Enlightenment can be found in the turmoil of the English civil wars. What I was talking about Charles II, because Charles II's coming on the throne was actually a result of the civil wars. Civil wars mean to say that Puritan age, or interregnum we call it. So write down the first line, that the roots of the Enlightenment, the age of Enlightenment in England particularly, can be found in the turmoil of the English civil wars. Okay, that can be a sentence. It can be asked in your exam as such. Number one. Number two, you should be aware about that as such, this Enlightenment, that the period of rationality, this period of questioning authority, this period of questioning, like how knowledge comes, this period of understanding like what is God, this period of understanding what experience, how we get experience, what is the cause of knowledge. Okay, and this period where we got the term like rationalism, skepticism, liberalism. Okay, these terms are not used. They were not used in vaguely. They were used because certain things were going on. So there are three particular stages of this Enlightenment. Write down the early Enlightenment. The early Enlightenment, that is from 1685 to 1730. That is after the glorious revolution we call, after the coming on throne of William of Orange. Clear? That I discussed in the last video. If those who are interested in watching the ideas related to, or say in sequence the ideas, they can go to my YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel's name is Mukesh Pareek Cosmos. Okay, and you can find a video, whatever the latest video is there. The ideas before Enlightenment have already been touched upon in that video. Okay, so the early Enlightenment, write down the period 1685 to 1730. Okay, we call it early Enlightenment because there were certain ideas. Thomas Hobbes was writing, John Locke was writing, Milton was writing. I'm not saying that Milton was a product of Enlightenment, but somehow, he was a Puritan, okay? And Puritans never believed in the divine rights of kings. So these were the people who came up with the idea that they were Democrats. You can understand, it's very easy to understand that those people who say that a king is not bestowed with certain divine things, it means he's one among us. So we can choose our government, we can have our own system of parliaments. It means these are the people who questioned something. Okay, so the age of Enlightenment is something where people started questioning. Clear? And that great work from which this October Net also had a question, that was from Thomas Hobbes, the famous writer of Leviathan, if you remember. Okay, Levithan. To some of you, this lecture will be absurd. You won't be able to connect many things, but that is the purpose of a teacher. Like, he should speak, and then students will at least come to know about certain things, and then they will start researching, and ultimately the thing will be done. Okay, so the early Enlightenment, 1685 to 1730. Clear? Then comes the high Enlightenment, that stage, high Enlightenment, that spans from 1730 to 1780. Okay, from 1730 to 1780. Almost all the major thinkers were writing in that age. And then comes the late Enlightenment, that is from 1780 to 1815. You can write a comment and can ask me if you feel something like you should ask. Clear? So I tell you back that there are 3 stages. In the first sentence, I spoke about that the roots of, though when I began with this video, I said that this Renaissance humanism is also the cause, because Renaissance humanism gave birth to civil wars. Okay, and Renaissance humanism gave birth to the ideas of the translation of Bible, and from there the seeds were there, and Puritanism came. Okay, so all the things are quite related. Okay, all of a sudden on a particular day an idea doesn't come. Clear? There are certain things which have already been felt. Okay, that's why I use the word causal, causal, that there are certain causes, and these causes can explode something, and that explosion was this Enlightenment. So I repeat for you that Renaissance humanism can be the root, and then Enlightenment's roots are also the civil wars, English civil wars, in England particularly. Though when I say English Renaissance, or say when I say English Enlightenment, then don't get confused, because in Ireland also there was Enlightenment. There was Enlightenment in Scotland also. Okay, so in different countries at different times in the same span, different thinkers emerged, and they started talking about skepticism, rationalism. They started putting reasoning in everything. Okay, and now let me talk about 2 particular terms which can be very much beneficial from examination point of view. Write down, what is the French term from where this word Enlightenment came? Write down, the French term for this Enlightenment is Siècle des Lumières. S-I-E-C-L-E. Siècle means cycle. Actually we pronounce it cycle. S-I-E-C-L-E. Pardon me, I pronounced wrong. It is cycle. So yes, Rahul, you are right that Renaissance humanism gave birth to civil wars. Civil wars gave a very different kind of questioning, and that gave birth to Enlightenment. And Enlightenment then gave birth to say Romanticism. I'm not saying that it gave birth to, but it was a counter movement, because it happens. I'm digressing because I'm answering Rahul. It happens. For example, the Western world, they are living a very materialistic life. But don't you think like maximum number of Westerners come to Pushkar, Rishikesh, Haridwar, you will find these people there, because a lot much rationality, a lot much logic, a lot much materialism, capitalism ultimately make you hollow from within. Okay, so I'll be just speaking about it also at the end of my lecture, but I already have prepared some line which are quite poetic, that The Enlightenment expired as the victim of its own excess. That the Enlightenment expired as the victim of its own excess. You all are aware that Enlightenment gave birth to French Revolution, and then that French Revolution was a very great idea in the beginning, but you know that it make all the participants disinterested when it became quite gory and bloody. Gory is a word in English. It means quite bloodshed was there. Okay, so you can understand that in England, in France, in Germany, the ideas of Enlightenment, like a lot much rationality, scientific thought, it emerged. They started talking about feminism, because somehow the term feminism is why I'm using this term, because Mary Wollstonecraft wrote her famous yeah, I'm coming to that. Just a minute, Mr. Malik. What I'm saying, that I'm still answering Rahul's question, that yes, he's right. Romanticism was actually a counter movement, or say when people were fed up, the writers were fed up, or say certain people who fed up with over rationality, then they started talking about and they started believing in the powers of imagination and emotions. Because when you talk about that there is no God, there is no abstract reality, there is no metaphysics, when you talk about all these things, it happens like for 1 or 2 centuries people will praise you, people will be running behind you, they will be accepting you as your leaders, but then you all are aware that certain things are unanswered and they are very vague in us. Okay, so Romanticism gave answers to these questions, that yes, imagination, emotions, these two particular things, and sensibility, your sensibilities, your emotions are more important. So yes, Enlightenment ended and Romanticism started. Clear? So let's come back to the French term cycle, S-I-E-C-L-E, cycle des, D-E-S, des Lumières. Write down. Lumières spelling L-U-M-I-E-R-E-S. Lumières means the term is luminous. Luminous means prakash. दैदीप्यमान एक वर्ड होता है इंग्लिश में which means something which shines of its own. Okay, so you will remember this, they will ask you this question in your exam, cycle des Lumières. Okay, and its meaning is century of enlightenment, because cycle means century. Those online students who were hearing me yesterday in the evening class, they know I was talking about fin de cycle, the turn of the century. Okay, so cycle means century. Okay, then write down the German term for that, Enlightenment. German term is let me speak the spelling first of all. A-U-F-K L-A-R-U-N-G. A-U-F-K L-A-R-U-N-G. Like you have terms like Bildungsroman, Kunstelsroman. In the same way, this German term Aufklärung, write down, Aufklärung, we pronounce it Aufklärung, we can also pronounce it Aufklärung, like Bildungsroman in the same fashion. Okay, so these are the terms from French and German I've already told you. Now let me talk about that the Enlightenment emerged out of a European intellectual and scholarly movement known as Renaissance humanism, and it was preceded by the scientific revolution. Preceded by means after that, with that much questioning, that much reasoning, a kind of industrial revolution, a kind of scientific revolution came. Okay, then write down another point, that ideas of Enlightenment undermined the authority of the monarchy. As I already told you, that they started questioning that monarchy doesn't have any divine rights. Okay, and the Catholic Church also. You know that in England there was a new church established by Henry VIII, that is the Church of England. Okay, Anglican Church they call it. So almost everywhere in European countries they were questioning the modes and methods and the beliefs also, the belief system of the Bible, old Bible, okay, of Catholic Church, and paved the way for the political revolutions of the 18th and the 19th century. You all are aware that French Revolution was a political as well as a social movement. So this questioning gave birth to political and social revolutions. Okay, write down next. Liberalism and neoclassicism have their roots in the Enlightenment. They can ask you any kind of question where they would give you any kind of blank and all, and then you have to fill up the blanks and all. One thing I would like to clear here, some clarification is necessary, that neoclassicism is also a term, but that is specially used for arts. If you just search anywhere, you will find that wherever neoclassicism is written, it is always related to different art forms, in building also, in poetry also, in literature, and in say making paintings, in making ornaments. Clear? So neoclassicism is a term particularly used in the section of art, and enlightenment is used in the section of as a political thing, okay, as a philosophical term. Clear? अब आप में से कई बच्चे पूछेंगे कि the terms you have used like liberalism, yes, you can write definition of liberalism. It's not exactly, though it's very easy to understand that liberalism, the word liberalism has come from the word liberty, and you all are aware that liberty means a kind of emancipation, a kind of freedom. Okay, so a political and social philosophy. Write down what is liberalism. A political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Free enterprise also has something to do with, you would be surprised that this enlightenment really made people question anything which was imposed by the kings or the authorities. For example, you can understand that why enlightenment was necessary. For example, if you are aware about Areopagitica, written by Milton, he wanted something. He was an educated person, but then there were certain rules that you cannot print your own material. You have to show to the authorities first of all, like what are you publishing. It means he was against these things, and then he revolted against Areopagitica. And there was a question in net. You all are aware that he was a pamphleteer, and there was a question on pamphlet also in net. Last to last net that what is the exact definition of pamphlet. So whenever I deliver a lecture, I try to incorporate many things which can ultimately give you benefit in your exams. Clear? So authorities are challenged, rules are challenged, copyrights, the kind of rules of copywriting, publication, printing, all were challenged by these writers. Okay, so this is also called a kind of liberalism. And what about enterprise? If you go to the field of business, you will find that, for example, this GST, you all are aware that many people questioned, when it was imposed. This demonetization, many people, questioned it. Now, what happens actually that certain times or say the implementation of the new education policy, don't you think like something which is imposed on us without taking us into the process of making of the rule, their intelligent people or the thinking people of a country, they always raise a question. So when these questions are raised and then certain laws are passed or certain amendments are done, then we say that it is liberalism. Okay, say yes, Stationer's Register was a product of Renaissance humanism, Rahul Chauhan. Okay, so this liberalism I have already explained, and neoclassicism I have already explained. Now let us move further. Write down that this enlightenment was based on the sovereignty of reason. Sovereignty means that whole soul base of enlightenment was reason. Reason का मतलब क्या होता है? आप तर्क कर सकते हो, आप questioning कर सकते हो, okay? And the evidence of the senses. For example, in the morning I was reading Osho and Lord Buddha. Okay, both have said that don't believe on scriptures, though I don't agree with them. I'm just quoting them so that you people can understand, but that doesn't mean that I agree with the and that they are saying that if you read something, when we read something, we always question, we always think, if we are thinking beings, that if they are saying something that that doesn't happen with me, I don't feel that, if they are saying that God is within us, aham brahmasmi, and Ashtavakra Gita, the very first shloka says that immediately, Ashtavakra says to King Janaka, because it is in the dialogue form, he says that immediately I can make you feel that you are Brahma. You start you start detaching yourself, okay, and being a detached person, start looking, being an observer. You become an observer. After reading, I tried, but I could not become an observer, because though he claims that it can immediately happen and you can really get moksha, salvation, but that doesn't yeah, I request everybody. Thank you, Mr. Malik ji. You have already shared. Kindly share this live stream first of all, please. Those who are watching me, I thank them that they believe me and they are watching me. So kindly share it, okay? And when I upload it on the YouTube channel, those who would be watching me on YouTube channel, I request them, after watching, kindly write a comment, whether it is good or bad, what kind of improvement you want, or instead of writing comments on improvement, because if you are a student, better you don't teach us a teacher, okay? And write better what you understood of this lecture. Okay? That would be fine for me. Clear? That would give me an impetus, that will give a shot in my arms, that will give me a motivation to prepare these lectures, because many students don't write comments, so I don't feel like I should make more videos and all. So if you keep writing comments, I think I will be a bit regular making videos and all. Okay, so let us come back. What I was talking about, senses. आपको कुछ महसूस हो रहा है, आपकी इंद्रियों ने, आपके सेंसेस ने आपको कुछ महसूस करवाया. डोंट यू थिंक लाइक जब हम लोग महसूस करते हैं, then we say that this is the part of our knowledge, like something has already happened with you, then you can say that this has happened with me, and I can claim that it happens this way. Okay, so empiricism, though it all started with Bacon, and there was a question in net also many times that who is the father of empiricism. Empiricism एक term है, लिख लीजिए. Empiricism का मतलब होता है evidence of the senses. Okay, that it states, empiricism states, it tells that knowledge comes only from sensory experience. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में पहली बार इसकी बात हुई थी. I'll be talking about like how our Indian sages way back talked about 600 I think, or say 600 before Christ, they talked about this, कि इंद्रियों से ज्ञान प्राप्त किया जा सकता है, और ज्ञान वही है जो हम फील कर सकते हैं. ओके, सो इट इज ऑल्सो अ व्यू ऑफ एपिस्टेमोलॉजी. अब एपिस्टेमोलॉजी सुन करके मुझे कोसने मत लग जाओ. राइट डाउन दिस टर्म एपिस्टेमोलॉजी. एक बात का ध्यान रखें, इफ you are a serious student, sincere student, you will pay more attention to lectures, books, ideas, and instead of comparing teachers and all. Clear? So if I remember well, there was a question I think 2 or 3 nets back, there was a question that what is epistemology, what is ontology, what is metaphysics. There were 4 options, and then they asked one thing, because as I told you that the literature is somehow related to this philosophical ideas. So philosophical ideas, there are different ideas, there are different philosophers. They're talking, they try to reach the truth. Okay, they want to search the root, they want to unfathom what is the reality. And then different schools. एक बात और पता होनी चाहिए कि पहले के ज़माने में, I think like before this 300 or 400 years ago, even in England also, फिलॉसफी को, नेचुरल फिलॉसफी को, साइंस को ही नेचुरल फिलॉसफी बोला जाता था. सो फिलॉसफी इज अल्टीमेटली लाइक love of knowledge. You're a lover of knowledge. You're running behind knowledge. You're searching knowledge. Clear? So क्या बता रहा था मैं कि sovereignty of reason पे based है enlightenment, और दूसरा evidence of the senses, जिसको हम empiricism के नाम से जानते हैं. और एम्पिरिसिज्म क्या कहता है कि इट इज ऑल्सो अ व्यू ऑफ एपिस्टेमोलॉजी. एपिस्टेमोलॉजी का मतलब लिख लीजिए, हाउ वी गेट नॉलेज. क्लियर? रैशनलिज्म का मतलब होता है योर लॉजिकल माइंड. एंड स्केप्टिसिज्म. स्केप्टिक कौन होते हैं? स्केप्टिक्स आर द पीपल हु डोंट बिलीव एज एनीथिंग एज सच. दे क्वेश्चन, दे पुट अ क्वेश्चन मार्क. ओके, सो दैट इज ओके, बट लेट मी टेल यू दैट these things have never been counted in a very favorable light in Indian philosophy. ये मैं पहले भी बता चुका हूँ. Okay, so ये पता होना चाहिए कि enlightenment was based on sovereignty of reason, एविडेंस ऑफ द सेंसेस, उससे हमें मिला एम्पिरिसिज्म। एम्पिरिसिज्म का मतलब क्या होता है कि नॉलेज कैन ओनली बी गॉट बाय सेंसरी एक्सपीरियंसेस, ओके। और ये एपिस्टेमोलॉजी में भी लाइक व्हेन वी स्टडी एपिस्टेमोलॉजी, इट्स अ ब्रांच ऑफ फिलॉसफी कि भाई नॉलेज कैसे मिलता है। देन दे टॉक अबाउट नॉलेज के लिए आपको देखना पड़ेगा, आपको मानना पड़ेगा। एनीबडी हु सेज दैट आई नो गॉड बट ही मस्ट हैव सीन गॉड, isn't it? So epistemology, like how we get knowledge, what is the process of getting knowledge. Then rationalism, how we what is the nature of logic, what different kind of logics can be there, how they can be exercised to know the truth, okay. And skepticism, that first of all आपको पता है स्केप्टिक बनाने के लिए भी पूरी ट्रेनिंग देनी पड़ती है। जैसे एक लड़की को एक परिवार में पालो, ओके, और उसने क्या देखा, अपनी ग्रैंड मदर को, अपने दादाजी को पानी देते हुए, खाना देते हुए, उनके कपड़े धोते हुए, उसने अपनी मदर को भी यही सब करते देखा। तो आपको नहीं लगता कि शी इज नॉट अ स्केप्टिक नाउ, शी फील्स, शी टेक इट एन एसेंशियल क्वालिटी ऑफ अ वुमन, लाइक शी विल बी डूइंग द ड्रजरी। जितने भी मीनियल काम है वो लड़की ही करेगी, बिकॉज आपने उसे स्केप्टिक बनाया ही नहीं। देन कम्स एन एजुकेटेड, लाइक इस लड़की के कॉलेज में एक टीचर है और वो ये कहती है कि भी मेरे हस्बैंड बर्तन साफ करते हैं या मेरे 2 बच्चे हैं, उसमें से लड़की जो है वो आटा पिसा के लाती है, लड़का किचन का काम करता है, और मैं ये रोल बदलती रहती हूँ, रोल रिवर्सल। देन ओनली यू कैन मेक समबडी स्केप्टिक। तो मैं बताने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं कि हाउ इट्स नॉट लाइक इमीडिएटली यू कैन मेक समवन स्केप्टिक। आपने देखा होगा कि हाउस होल्ड में अभी भी भारत में वी हैव नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया, इन द वर्ल्ड, मैं इंग्लिश का ही आपको इडियम बताता हूं, लाइक कर्टन लेक्चर और हैंड पैक्ड हस्बैंड। ये टर्म्स हैं क्योंकि द होल वर्ल्ड इज पेट्रियार्कल, एंड व्हेन फेमिनिज्म कम्स यू स्टार्ट putting some question mark. First of all, you have to make your students, you have to make your children skeptic. They start thinking with doubt, okay, they put the doubt first of all. ध्यान रहे, डाउट ऐसे नहीं आता है, डाउट के लिए ट्रेनिंग देनी पड़ती है, ओके। और अब मैं आपको थोड़ा सा स्केप्टिसिज्म के बारे में बता दूं। एक बहुत सारे राइटर्स के नाम है मेरे पास, जैसे फ्रांसिस बैकन इज वन, ही इज नोन फॉर एम्पिरिसिज्म। देन जॉन लॉक, you all are aware, I think in every net exam they ask us a question on John Locke, okay, that essay concerning human understanding. The whole long essay is written on how we get knowledge, okay, what is the logic behind, what are the bases of our understanding, clear. And David Hume, ये आपके लिए नया नाम है, लिख लीजिए, डेविड ह्यूम। बच्चों डेविड ह्यूम जो थे वो स्कॉटिश एनलाइटनमेंट के राइटर थे, लिख लीजिए, ही इज अ वेरी फेमस राइटर फ्रॉम स्कॉटिश एनलाइटनमेंट, ओके। एंड उन्होंने बहुत कुछ लिखा है, उन्होंने ह्यूमन पे, गॉड पे, ही हैज रिटन ऑन डिफरेंट थिंग्स, बट उनका जो मेजर है दैट इज अ ट्रीटिस ऑफ फिलॉसफी ऑन ह्यूमन नेचर। ही हैज रिटन ट्रीटिस, TREATISE, ट्रीटिस का मतलब होता है ग्रंथ और से एक किताब, ठीक है। सो आई टॉक्ड अबाउट 3 राइटर्स, फ्रांसिस बैकन, जॉन लॉक एंड डेविड ह्यूम, ओके। अब एक नोट आप अलग से बना लीजिए, because I'm talking about India. 600 to 200 before Christ, there was a school जिसको बोलते हैं वैशेषिका स्कूल ऑफ हिंदू फिलॉसफी। राइट डाउन, दिस क्वेश्चन कैन बी आस्क्ड इन द फर्स्ट पेपर। वैशेषिका, राइट डाउन, वैशेषिका स्कूल ऑफ हिंदू फिलॉसफी। जैसे इस बार नेट में फर्स्ट पेपर में बहुत सारे इंडियन फिलॉसफी और रीजनिंग के क्वेश्चन पूछे गए थे, so you should be aware about them now. Vaisheshika School of Hindu Philosophy started by Carnad, okay, CANAD, Carnad. He accepted perceptions and inferences. लिखिए, he accepted that perception means how we perceive, okay, and inferences as the only 2 reliable sources of knowledge in his work Vaisheshika Sutra. लिखिए, Vaisheshika, VAISESIKA, Vaisheshika. This I have written in my notebook because of my this research on this topic. When I was studying to deliver this lecture, like what I would be telling my students on enlightenment, then I came across this, like a question came to my mind that what about India and India's stand of this enlightenment. तो लिख लीजिए, मैं फिर से बोलता हूँ, before 600 to 200 before Christ, Vaisheshika School of Hindu Philosophy started by Carnad, okay, accepted perception and inference as the only two reliable. ये question आ सकता है, that your perception and inference are the two reliable sources of knowledge in his work वैशेषिका सूत्रा. Okay, ये लिख लिया, आगे बढ़े. Kindly share the video, please. It's a request. Share the video, and those who would be watching it on YouTube later on should write some comment after watching it. It's a new manner of attending live classes on Facebook and YouTube, that if you are attending, you are getting something, and if you are getting free of cost, then you should at least do something, can help the teacher spreading his knowledge to the other people. Clear? So kindly share, and then write like we have really shared this video. Okay, I can't say for everybody, because some students come, they watch, and they compare a lot. They are more in comparison. They compare like, this lecture is not to be shared, इसमें इतना दम नहीं है कि इसको शेयर करके दूसरों तक पहुंचाया जाए. It is not like that. नॉलेज चाहे कहीं से भी मिल रही हो, उसको पहुंचाना चाहिए. इससे हमें सबाब मिलता है, पुण्य मिलता है. ठीक है, ये जरूरी है. Though we are not talking about sabab and punya, because these things are beyond the scope of this lecture. Enlightenment. क्योंकि enlightenment में तो reasoning की बात होती है, and reasoning में हम science use करते हैं कि कौन कहता है कि हमें पुण्य मिलेगा, बताओ कहाँ मिला, कैसे मिला. Okay, now let us talk about, एक दूसरा नोट लिखिए, वेस्टर्न रैशनलिस्ट. अब मैं 3 राइटर्स के नाम ले रहा हूं. रेने डेकार्टे, हमारी ऑनलाइन क्लास में तो अभी 4 दिन पहले या 5 दिन पहले वी रियली टॉक्ड अबाउट दैट, और उन्होंने ऑनलाइन जो हमारे टेस्ट होते हैं, आपने उसमें भी इसको सॉल्व किया था. रेने डेकार्टे, स्पेलिंग लिखिए RENEDESCARTE. रेने डेकार्टे बहुत फेमस राइटर है बच्चों. ये कार्टीजियन, इनको लैटिन में कार्टीजियन बोलते हैं. ओके, कार्टीजियन ड्यूअलिज्म के लिए. ड्यूअलिज्म का मतलब क्या होता है? द्वैत जो सिद्धांत है ना, कि भाई एनर्जी अलग है और मैटर अलग है. ठीक है. एंड स्पिनोजा का नाम सुना होगा आपने. स्पिनोजा, SPINOZA. स्पिनोजा एक बहुत बड़ा नाम है बच्चों. ही हैड हिज अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द हिब्रू बाइबल ऑल्सो. So he has a great reputation in the Western world. Spinoza, SPINOZA. Okay. There were questions in net also. In the options, this name was there. Okay. And Leibniz का भी नाम सुना होगा आपने. Leibniz, sorry, LEIBNIZ. Leibniz, write down. So मैं 3 नाम दोबारा बोलता हूँ. These are also famous Western rationalists. Earlier I talked about Francis Bacon, John Locke, and David Hume. Now I'm talking about René Descartes. Okay, Spinoza, SPINOZA, and Leibniz, LEIBNIZ. Okay, now why these 3 are famous? Because they all 3 stressed on the scientific method, that knowledge can only be got by following certain scientific methods. Okay, for example, यहाँ पे एक और important question मैं discuss कर लेता हूँ. Let us go back to John Locke. John Locke का एक question बार बार आया है. And those students who are studying in IGNOU or say others, there you find any question on or any detailed lecture on romanticism, then there is a some preface where they always talk about John Locke. उन्होंने एक term दिया है, that is, our mind is a clean slate, and he has used the term tabula rasa. Tabula rasa का spelling है TAB, लिखिए TABULA, tabula RASA. इसको रसा नहीं बोलते हैं, we pronounce it rasa. Tabula rasa. इसका मतलब होता है clean slate. Okay, but let me also tell you that actually John Locke used the term white paper. He said that our mind is a white paper when we are born. Okay, and then our experiences are written, and then we get whatever knowledge we get. Okay, अच्छा, आपको एक और बात बताता हूँ. During my research I came to know that Aristotle, write down, एरिस्टोटल की एक बुक है डी एनिमा, वेरी फेमस बुक. डी एनिमा, इसका मतलब होता है ऑन द सोल. इन दैट ऑल्सो ही हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट this experience, how we get from experience. So at least we can say that when these writers in the mid of the 17th and 18th century, when they were talking about enlightenment, they you all know that I told you that Renaissance is responsible for bringing enlightenment. So they were, and in Renaissance you all are aware that Greek and the Roman writers were translated. Okay, and they were studied very minutely. और 1660 में जो रॉयल सोसाइटी एस्टैब्लिश कर दी थी चार्ल्स सेकंड ने, उसके बाद तो आपको पता ही है साइंटिस्ट, रॉयल सोसाइटी का जो मतलब ही यही है कि दे स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग अबाउट साइंस पर्टिकुलरली, ओके, मैथमेटिक्स, साइंस। गैलीलियो की बुक्स रॉयल सोसाइटी की तरफ से छपी थी। ओके, सो डी एनिमा का नाम लिख लीजिए। इन दैट बुक ही हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट perceptions and impressions on our soul. And Sigmund Freud का नाम सुना होगा, you know, the father, not exactly called father of psychology, but somehow though his theories are quite backward today. और यूंग का नाम हम ज़्यादा रेस्पेक्ट के साथ लेते हैं। सिगमंड फ्रायड इन हिज बुक साइकोएनालिसिस, उसने भी यही कहा था कि माइंड के ऊपर सारी जो फैमिली है उसके बैकग्राउंड का और फैमिली में जो कुछ भी हो रहा है उसका असर पड़ता है। एंड दैट इडिपस कॉम्प्लेक्स, दैट टर्म, यू नो, यू आर अवेयर अबाउट दैट टर्म, दैट व्हाटएवर, सपोज अ छोटा बच्चा कुछ सेक्सुअल बात कर रहा है और ही इज, यू नो, डूइंग समथिंग, यू नो, विद हिज ओन बॉडी, इट मीन्स समहाउ ही मस्ट हैव गॉट समथिंग, यू नो, अराउंड, ही मस्ट हैव सीन समथिंग, ही मस्ट हैव। देखो, एक तो एक बात का ध्यान रखना है कि जब मैं कलेक्टिव कॉन्शियसनेस समझाता हूं कभी बच्चों को, और वेन एवर आई टॉक अबाउट कॉन्शियसनेस, आई ऑलवेज एक्सप्लेन टू चिल्ड्रन दैट, यू नो, अवर माइंड इज अ ग्रेट 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 मशीन। हमेशा याद रखिएगा, सबकॉन्शियस में जब चीजें जाती हैं तो आपको ये नहीं पता होता कि भाई कब जा रही है। आप कहीं से चलकर जा रहे हो, ओके, सपोज यू आर जस्ट ट्रेवर्सिंग 10 स्टेप्स, मान लीजिए लास्ट बेंच से उठ करके टीचर तक स्टूडेंट आ रहा है, सो जितनी खुशबू है वो सूंघेगा, खुशबू इन द सेंस किसी के हेयर ऑयल की खुशबू, किसी के परफ्यूम की खुशबू, ओके, कौन कैसे पैर करके बैठा है, किसने क्या कलर पहन रखा है, एवरीथिंग बिकम, यू नो, द पार्ट ऑफ आवर सबकॉन्शियस माइंड। So it is a reservoir, it is, you know, a great say storehouse जिसमें हर चीज चली जाती है, and then ultimately by hook or crook, you know, जब जरूरत पड़ती है वो वहां से निकलती रहती है, ठीक है। तो सिगमंड फ्रायड talked about that our mind में बहुत सारी चीजें अंदर होती हैं, okay। If you remember that iceberg diagram, you know, where he's talking about conscious, ego and super ego, अभी मैं साइकोलॉजी पे ज्यादा बात नहीं करूंगा। Then another writer, Thomas Hobbes, इस लेक्चर में बहुत सारे राइटर्स के नाम आएंगे। टॉमस हॉब्स, जिस पे अभी नेट में क्वेश्चन भी आया था अक्टूबर में, दैट फेमस राइटर फॉर राइटिंग दिस लेवाइथन, बट यू मस्ट बी अवेयर दैट, यू नो, ही वाज वेरी मच इन द कंट्रोवर्सी ऑफ, उसको इंग्लैंड छोड़ के भागना पड़ा था, बिकॉज, यू नो, ही वाज आल्सो नॉट इन फेवर ऑफ द डिवाइन राइट्स ऑफ द किंग्स, क्लियर। और उसके बाद में एक बहुत बड़ा नाम ले रहा हूं, इमैनुअल कांट। Any literature student is incomplete if he does not read Immanuel Kant. Okay, Immanuel Kant जर्मनी के थे, and Newton's calculus and optical theories, न्यूटन की जो theories थी, आपको मालूम होना चाहिए कि जेम्स थॉमसन, you know, the precursor of pre-romanticism or romanticism, उसने वो जो seasons poem लिखी है there, you know, because he was teaching there where the great friend of Newton and Galileo, you know, they were teaching there. तो उसके पास एक फिजिक्स की पूरी डिटेल नॉलेज होने की वजह से भी, द वे ही वाज राइटिंग, he has an influence of, you know, neoclassicism also, और neoclassicism is a part of एनलाइटनमेंट। तो मैं बताना क्या चाह रहा हूं कि जब न्यूटन ने अपना कैलकुलस बुक छापा, और उसमें जो ऑप्टिक्स, जैसे हम लोग पैराडाइज लॉस्ट भी पढ़ते हैं, तो देयर कम्स द रेफरेंस ऑफ, यू नो, माइक्रोस्कोप एंड ऑल, ओके। तो ये जो ऑप्टिक्स की थ्योरीज है, वेयर, यू नो, यू कम टू नो दैट, यू नो, द थिंग्स विच आर रिटन इन बाइबल आर नॉट सच, बट, यू नो, देयर इज अ वर्ल्ड बियॉन्ड एंड इट्स क्वाइट डिफरेंट, ओके। उसके मेटाफर्स भी बहुत फेमस है। मेटाफर्स मतलब कई राइटर्स ने उनको मेटाफर्स की तरह यूज किया। अब आप एक बुक का नाम लिखिए, इमैनुअल कांट की बुक है, लिखिए, द क्रिटिक ऑफ प्योर रीजन, द क्रिटिक, CRITIQUE, द क्रिटिक ऑफ प्योर रीजन। इस बुक में उन्होंने कहा है, आई एम अगेन गोइंग टू गिव यू 2 इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म्स नाउ, काइंडली शेयर दिस लाइव स्ट्रीम ऑन योर फेसबुक चैनल पेज, आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीबडी। The critique of pure reason, knowledge independent of experience is called a priori. देखिए, 2 terms हैं, there are 2 terms which are very famous in philosophy, and here and there, you know, we keep reading them in the books of history of English literature also. लिखिए, there is a term a priori, PRIORI, a priori, okay, and there is a term a posteriori, write down, POSTERIORI. अब आपको ये क्वेश्चन आ सकता है, यू मे गेट दिस क्वेश्चन इन नेट, राइट डाउन अ प्रायोराई का मतलब होता है नॉलेज इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस, पहले से ये हमें नॉलेज, you know. So some philosophers feel that or they maintain this, that you know there are certain things which are a priori. Okay, फिर से बोलता हूं, a priori is knowledge independent of experience. ये कांट की बुक में से दो टर्म्स निकाल के लाया हूं. एंड सेकंड लिखिए a posteriori का मतलब होता है पोस्ट, मतलब आफ्टर एक्सपीरियंस, नॉलेज ऑब्टेन्ड थ्रू एक्सपीरियंस. सो a priori and a posteriori, ए लगाना बहुत जरूरी है because the term is along with this article, indefinite article. Okay, so this is again, there can be a question. Then Rene Descartes, he's, as I told you, is a dualist, where he is talking about two things, एनर्जी एंड मैटर. द्वैत और अद्वैत का जो सिद्धांत है, मैं कई बार बहुत बोलना चाहता हूं और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि क्यों ना मैं एक लेक्चर रोज का ही रख दूं स्पिरिचुअलिटी के ऊपर. फेसबुक पे रख देते हैं, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में अलग पढ़ाई होती रहेगी और एक स्पिरिचुअलिटी की बात अलग होती रहेगी, बट देन इट वुड बी अ शेयर वेस्टेज ऑफ यू नो द स्टूडेंट्स टाइम. तो कई बार मैं अपने आप को रोक लेता हूं. अदरवाइज यू नो व्हेन आई रीड, जैसे मैं अभी इन दिनों भागवत पुराण पे मेरी रीडिंग चल रही है, एंड अष्टावक्र गीता भी मैं थोड़ी थोड़ी पढ़ रहा हूँ, एंड आई एम ऑल्सो रीडिंग शंकर का लिखा हुआ, शंकराचार्य का लिखा हुआ गीता का भाष्य. तो ये सारी चीज़ें जब हम पढ़ते हैं, एंड सो यू नो बहुत सारे आइडियाज आते हैं. एंड देन बीइंग अ टीचर ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर, आई एम टीचिंग यू नो वेरी इंटेलिजेंट स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर, दोज हु आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर नेट एंड जेआरएफ. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कई बार कि उनके बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस के जवाब यू नो कैन ओनली बी यू नो गिवन टू देम बाय यू नो टेलिंग देम ऑल दीज थिंग्स. लेकिन अभी नॉलेज मुझे रोक रही है, आई एम सॉरी. इतना लिखिए, आपको पता होना चाहिए, रेने डेकार्टे एक ड्यूअलिस्ट हैं. द्वैत और अद्वैत दो सिद्धांत बच्चों, जिसमें वो ऐसी बात करते हैं. हमारे भारत में तो ये वेदांत जो है बहुत फेमस एक फिलॉसफी है, और हार्वर्ड में स्कूल ऑफ डिविनिटी में इसको बहुत पढ़ा सुना जाता है. और वेदांत को लेकर के ही विवेकानंद, आपको पता है, विदेश गए थे और किस तरह से भारत सारी दुनिया में एक्सेप्ट किया गया. ड्यूअलिस्ट और नॉन ड्यूअलिस्टिक दो टर्म्स हैं. तो आपको रेने डेकार्टे का नाम याद रखना है. उसका एक बहुत 3-4 बार एक क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है नेट में. उन्होंने एक कार्टेशियन ड्यूअलिज्म दिया है. कार्टेशियन जो है वो डेकार्टे का ही नाम है, ऐसे आप लिख लीजिए. ओके, कार्टेशियन बाइनरी भी बोलते हैं उसको. बाइनरी मीन्स दैट स्ट्रक्चरल टू थिंग्स. क्लियर. उनका एक टर्म विच इज वेरी फेमस, कोजिटो एर्गो सम. कोजिटो, COGITO, कोजिटो कॉमा एर्गो, ERGO. एर्गो का मतलब होता है देयरफॉर, और SUM, सम, सम्मा. दीज आर वेरी कॉमन टर्म्स इन लैटिन. इसका मतलब लिखिए, दोबारा बोलूं, कोजिटो कॉमा एर्गो सम. एंड कोजिटो इज अगेन नॉट अ वेरी टफ टर्म फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड. कम ऑन. रिकॉग्निशन में जो COG रूट आता है ना, I've written a book of grammar and vocabulary. In that, I have added a very long chapter on the roots of, जिसमें etymology I am explaining, so that students can improve with their vocabulary also. Okay, so cogito, comma ergo sum. It means I think, therefore I am. उन्होंने इस extent तक चले गए कि I think, therefore I am. मेरा existence, you know, the being, ये जो ontology है कि भाई मैं हूं ही इसलिए कि मैं सोचता हूं. Okay, and English, please. Okay. I'll be, I'm sorry. Sometimes, you know, I feel that some students say that, sir, your channel will not run if you don't speak Hindi. So sometimes, you know, I go to the high level of Hindi also. Okay. I will never say go down to the level of Hindi. I'm sorry. Okay. So I think, therefore I am. Let me give you the complete statement. I doubt, write down. I doubt. Therefore I think. Therefore I am. This is the complete line. Write down. I doubt, comma, therefore I think. So this is the you know the benefit of skepticism, that you know there is nothing wrong in you know doubting anything. So he says that I doubt, therefore I think, and therefore I am. That your existence is because you think, and your doubt makes you think. Okay. Then I'm coming to a very important aspect which my online students already know. Some of them are watching me right now, and some of you will be watching me later on YouTube. There is a term deism. Write down. DEISM. Deism. D is a word, you know, for devta, God. Clear? It is a philosophical position that rejects revelation. लिखिए इसका मीनिंग. Write down the meaning. Deism. What is deism? D-E-I-S-M. Deism is a term. It means a philosophical position that rejects revelation. R-E-V-E-L-A-T-I-O-N. What is revelation? That truth can only be given to you by a deity. It means revelation is a word in English. It means manifestation of God. Like Christ will take an avatar, an incarnation, and he will only tell you the truth. Only then we can understand the truth. Ma Kali will come. Would you like to have a slight digressed lecture on this concept, deism? Hello? If you want, kindly write yes. Otherwise, I will move on. Okay. There is a very famous incident, if you remember. This Ramakrishna Paramhans, Ramakrishna Paramhans, everybody is aware that, he was the guru of Swami Vivekananda, okay? And anybody who can tell me who was the guru of Ramakrishna Paramhans? Hello? Are you watching me or aap sab chale gaye ho? Can anybody tell me who was the guru of Ramakrishna Paramhans? I'm just linking so that I can explain that for truth there is no need of revelation. Is there anybody? No. Totaram. नाम लिख लीजिए Totaram. You can find, if you just search him on internet, you will find Totaram. He was again a non-dualistic Naga sadhu. And he, in a very early part of his life, got this knowledge, like, this world and this puja and this worship is nothing. We ourselves are, the realized Brahma. Atma is Brahma itself. Okay, that he realized. And when, he was passing through that this area where, this Ramakrishna Paramhans was, reciting the name of Kali. Everybody is aware that Ramakrishna Paramhans was a great devotee of Kalima. Then it so happened, I'm just glossing it over, तोताराम जी ने कहा कि काली कुछ नहीं है, तुम रियलाइज कर सकते हो अद्वैत को अभी. Then he said like how? या तोतापुरी. मैंने कोई गलत नाम थोड़ी, तोतापुरी बोला था ना मैंने, तोताराम बोल दिया गलती से, तोतापुरी आई थिंक. तो एक कांच का टुकड़ा पड़ा था साइड में. And Ramakrishna Paramhans said that the moment I go in samadhi, क्योंकि तोतापुरी ने कहा कि आज मैं तुझे समझा के रहूंगा कि तू कैसे you are an Advait, means God resides in you and there is no God and human being. They are not Atma and Paramatma, Param Brahm. They are not two different things. You are Param Brahm. तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं समाधि कैसे लगाऊं? The moment I go in samadhi, Kali comes in front of me. तो then Ramakrishna Paramhans said कि तू तलवार से उनको काट देना. Kali will vanish, the God, that deity in your mind will vanish. तो उन्होंने कहा तलवार कहाँ से लाऊं? Then he said कि जहाँ से तू काली को लेके आया, because Kali is in your mind. Okay, so Bhairavi Brahman, one of, but Totapuri was the one who is very famous. Totapuri ji ने उनको realize करवाया था that he is the Atma is Brahm. So okay, then Ramakrishna Paramhans went into the samadhi. And the moment he went into the samadhi, then Kali came, in his mind. And तो तोतापुरी ने ग्लास से उनके सिर के ऊपर चोट की, because they already decided कि कैसे मारूंगा, कि मैं तेरे सिर पर चोट करूंगा और जैसे ही तेरे को चोट लगेगी, then you will come out of samadhi and that imaginary sword you just take and kill Kali. And he did that. And if you search this, like why Ramakrishna Paramhans attacked Kali and all, you will find videos on that also. Then you will understand why I am narrating this incident and why it is important here. Deism समझाना चाहता हूँ. I want to explain that deism says that it's a philosophical position that the truth, okay, is in itself lies before us, and we don't require God for that. Okay. And now let me tell you one name, Thomas Aquinas. I think many of you are not aware about this writer. He's a great saint of England, and its name comes in this James Joyce book, Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Okay, there was a question also on that. Write down Thomas Aquinas. Thomas की spelling तो आपको आती है. You know the spelling of Thomas, Thomas, Aquinas, Aquinas. Okay, and The Christian, he was a Christian kind of saint, philosopher, thinker, and Christian thought has recognized two sources of knowledge. One is God, that revelation, and natural reason. So Thomas Aquinas was the first who said that revelation can also give us knowledge, but this deism goes against this Aquinas also. Okay, and then you can ask me, like, from where this term has come. Right down, the term deism with this meaning first appears in English in Robert Burton's famous book The Anatomy of Melancholy, which was published in 1621. Clear? So abhi, and one more thing I would like to add to make you understand that what is deism. If you remember that line in Alexander Pope's famous essay on man, there comes a line that whatever is right. बोलिए एक बार, whatever is, comma, is right. It means जो कुछ है सही है. God, whatever is, you should be aware that though he was a Christian, a Catholic, Alexander Pope, but he believed, psychologically and intellectually, his mind was too firm to accept these philosophies of deism. So deism is also a kind of a product of enlightenment, where they started thinking that actually God does not come from above. Okay, in nature, in all these things around us, God is, and if he is there, we can experience him. Okay, whatever is right. Okay, and the most important product of enlightenment is encyclopedia. Write down another important aspect. एनसाइक्लोपीडिया का नाम सुना होगा. आज हम विकीपीडिया पे बहुत कुछ देखते हैं. कल रात को मैंने आपसे पूछा नाइकी, अबाउट द गॉडेस ऑफ नाइकी, देन देयर वाज अगेन सर्टेन स्क्रीनशॉट्स फ्रॉम द विकीपीडिया. सो आजकल एवरीबडी गोज टू विकीपीडिया. देन हु स्टार्टेड दिस? एक्चुअली टू नेम्स आर वेरी फेमस. अब लिखिए इसका नाम. एनसाइक्लोपीडिया पब्लिश्ड इन फ्रांस बिटवीन 1751 to 1772. Okay, and Denis Diderot, एक नाम बहुत फेमस है. There is one name, Denis, Denis, Diderot, Diderot. Okay, and Jean Le Ron d'Alembert, थोड़ा लंबा नाम है. Denis Diderot के बाद लिखिए Jean, Jean, Le, L, Rond, capital R-O-N-D, it's a third word, R-O-N-D, then D, as you all are aware, in French names we put a D and then comma, D, Alembert, A-L-E-M-B-E-R-T. So these two names should be in your mind, because these are associated with the compilation of this encyclopedia. Okay, and they are called the founding fathers of encyclopedia. Okay, and two more things you should be aware, that this discovery of carbon dioxide gas by Joseph Black occurred in the same period, and steam engine by James Watt, that also occurred. So scientific discovery was going hand in hand. Clear? And one more important aspect now I'll be talking about, again Immanuel Kant. Abhi thodi der pehle I talked about a priori and a posteriori. Immanuel Kant wrote an essay which is very famous, and there was a question in net about this essay. Write down the name of the essay. Answering the question. Name of the essay, answering the question, then two dots, colon, what is enlightenment? This is the name of the essay. Answering the question, then colon, what is enlightenment? It was published in 1784, and in this essay he argued with the very first sentence. Now what is that first sentence? Write down. He said enlightenment is man's emergence. Write down. Enlightenment बता रहे हैं. He's telling us like what is enlightenment. Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-incurred immaturity. I repeat, enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-incurred, incurred का मतलब खुद लिया हुआ. Okay, self-incurred immaturity. अपनी खुद की immaturity से बाहर आने को enlightenment कहते हैं. Okay, and immaturity is the inability. What is immaturity? Immaturity means the inability to use one's own understanding, okay, without the guidance of another. भाई आपको खुद से कोई चीज समझ में ना आए, कोई समझाए आपको, and suppose you don't require anybody to explain anything, then you can call it an enlightenment. That is Immanuel Kant's definition. Okay, and this essay is very famous. Even I ask you to read this essay. अब आजकल तो बच्चे ऐसे हो गए हैं कि वो बहुत डिटेल में नहीं पढ़ते हैं. दे रिक्वायर सम स्पून फीडिंग एंड ऑल. I have this essay around me. Uh, there is a treasure of modern pose, a very small book I have, and let me tell you one essay. अभी मैं कुछ दिन पहले ही पढ़ रहा था. There is an essay spoon feeding by W.R. Inge, I-N-G-E. एक बार ये essay जरूर पढ़ना. You will come to know that all the intellectual people, why they are against this spoon feeding to the students. And if you don't get this essay, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number. I have already given my WhatsApp number in the stream. I will give you the PDF. Okay, PDF means I will click from this book and I'll give you the PDF. Okay, so read this essay, you will get knowledge. Okay, okay. अब एक लिखिए उनका sentence which is very famous. उन्होंने क्या बोला था? उन्होंने बोला था Sapere Aude. लिखो, एक टर्म है SAPERE. Sapere, SAPERE. Sapere. दूसरा टर्म है Aude, AUDE. Now what is Sapere Aude? Is there anybody who knows the meaning? Write down. It means dare to be wise. Dare to be wise. Why I am saying this? I have been teaching for last 20 years now. But if I, use this stream and show you the camera around my table, in the background you can see a very small library. There are piles of books, behind this mobile also. These books I read. I try to, because I feel that I don't know anything. Okay, and I keep improving my knowledge. Because one has to get enlightenment from this material point of view also. Okay, so dare to be wise. Try to be wise. Dare. Write down then next point. The high enlightenment, जो period मैंने बताया था 1730 to around 1780, it was centered on the dialogues and publication of the French philosophers. एक term है लिखिए. French philosophers में आते हैं लिखिए. There was a question like who are the major French thinkers who ultimately had an impact on the English writers. So French philosophers, Philosophers, philosophers. Voltaire, Rousseau, Voltaire, Voltaire, Rousseau, Rousseau. Montesquieu का नाम सुना होगा आपने, Montesquieu, Montesquieu. Buffon का नाम सुना होगा, Buffon, and Denis Diderot. Diderot का नाम मैं already बता चुका हूँ encyclopedia में. Now why Voltaire is famous? Write down. Voltaire's a very important book, Philosophical Dictionary. इसका subtitle पूछा गया था एग्जाम में, A Chaos of Clear Ideas. Quite oxymoronic, paradoxical title. Should I repeat? Philosophical Dictionary. Subtitle is A Chaos, CHAOS, Chaos of Clear Ideas. Clear Ideas ka chaos. Okay, it spread the notion that everything in the universe could be rationally demystified and catalogued. There is not a particular term which you cannot demystify, which you cannot catalog. Okay, being a teacher and a voracious reader of Indian philosophy and spirituality books, I think somehow I think I don't agree with these Voltaire and all, because there are many things which cannot be fathomed, which cannot be understood. But right now I will not go to the subjective level of my understanding. I will simply be asking my students to now note down things so that if they ask you a question, you can answer. Okay, so Philosophical Dictionary, subtitle is A Chaos of Clear Ideas, a very famous book. You should read about this book, and if you can have this book, you can buy it. It spread the notion that everything in the universe could be rationally demystified and catalogued. Okay, अच्छा अब आपसे बात करते हैं. When you read this Rape of the Lock, is there anybody in my class who knows that the neoclassical writer Alexander Pope really read a book on Rosicrucian society, and W.B. Yeats also was aware about that book, later on. So Rosicrucian, what is that? Actually, this Enlightenment also gave the ideas of certain secret meetings and societies. So write down, this is another area of Enlightenment. Secret societies like Freemasons. आपको कहीं ना कहीं पूछ लेंगे. Freemasons, FREEMASON, Freemasons. Okay. Second लिखिए, the Bavarian Illuminati. एक term है Bavarian, Bavarian, Illuminati. Illuminati से समझ में आ रहा होगा, illumination, knowledge, okay, and cycle the illuminator जो मैंने शुरू में बताया था उसी तरह से. And the third one is Rosicrucians. They flourished. So suppose they ask you a tough question sometimes, that what kind of other social and personal say outcome of Renaissance, this Enlightenment, then it was that certain secret societies emerged, okay, and they started moving away from Christianity and started checking certain ideas in the black magic and all. Clear? और फिर एक और important point बता रहा हूँ, coffee houses, newspapers, literary salons, okay, emerged as new venues for ideas to circulate. You all are aware that newspapers, when we read these periodicals and all, they also got started in this particular Enlightenment age. Because don't you think like newspapers somehow make you an enlightened person from a very low level? Why? Because it is considered in 20th century, all the existential writers, dramatists, they question, they have certain scenes in their dramas where the protagonist is reading the newspaper, okay, so this newspaper reading is not considered a very intellectual an exercise, but you can imagine in the very starting it was considered an enlightening say enterprise, okay. So coffee houses, though it spread a kind of negative things also in society, which Alexander Pope is talking in that poem Rape of the Lock, but somehow you all are aware that to temper wit with morality and morality and live in morality with wit. If you remember this sentence said by Steele and Edison, that they wanted to give society some enlightenment, okay, and wit is also a very important aspect of enlightenment, because when you become rational, skeptic, and you start thinking, you become witty, okay, you cut the points of the people, okay. So the Enlightenment expired as the victim of its own excess, and deism's rarefied reason offered no solace or salvation. जब डीइज्म की हम बात करते हैं तो आपको ताजुब होगा कि डीइज्म ज्यादा नहीं सुना लोगों ने, because deism says that there is no God who will come down to you, and it is a fact. We have never seen a God, we have just seen the statues, okay. But एक बात का ध्यान रखिएगा, एक बार ओशो कह रहे थे कि we have a lot much commentary on the Shri Krishna's Gita, okay, but we have a very less number of commentaries on Ashtavakra Gita, because Ashtavakra is less political. He is directly saying the truth, okay. So जब कोई direct truth बोलता है ना, it's always killing, cruel, okay. जब कोई बात नहीं बनाता है, like I'm not a very famous teacher, my videos are not watched throughout India. I have a very limited coterie on say clientele. The reason is that I never cut the reputation of some other people. I never question कि उसने क्या video बनाया है. I never talk all these things because मुझे लगता है कि this is not maturity. Okay, so I directly talk on the topic. I directly start talking about my research, my reading, how I can enlighten my students. तो आपको पता है कि बच्चा बोर हो जाएगा. उनको तो 15-20 मिनट के वीडियोस देखने की ऐसी गंदी आदत पड़ गई है कि उनको ऐसे लगता है कि नॉलेज इसी में है. अरे नहीं है नॉलेज यार. If you solve a paper, that's why very less number of students are able to crack this exam, NET and GRF in English literature. It means you need to have a professor's knowledge before you appear in that exam. तभी तो आपका GRF clear होगा. So I invite you, kindly start watching my videos and kindly spread this message. हमारे देश की मदद कीजिए थोड़ी सी, क्योंकि मेरी मदद होगी तो देश की मदद ऑटोमेटिकली मैं कर दूंगा. The Enlightenment expired. तो मैं जो बता रहा हूं कि deism did not give us solace. That's why we don't hear. Enlightenment came and like a bubble it went down also. Okay, the celebration of abstract reasoning ये लोग करते हैं Enlightenment में, provoked contrary spirits to begin exploring the world of sensation. आपको पता है जब हम बहुत ज़्यादा नॉलेज की और साइंस की बात करते हैं तो we all gossip. अदिति बनर्जी पूछ रही है हाउ टू गेट माय वीडियोस. वेरी सिंपल, गो टू यूट्यूब चैनल. मुकेश पारिक इज माय नेम. सर्च अंडर दिस नेम मुकेश पारिक कॉस्मोस, COSMOS. यू विल फाइंड माय चैनल देयर एंड यू कैन वॉच माय वीडियोस. ओके, अच्छा एक बात बताइए, आप लोग गॉसिप करते हो क्या सब लोग? इफ यू गॉसिप then like many years back, I was sitting in the college where I was teaching. I used to teach, and I found like I used to always visit library and studying, and I was very a man of energy. Then one day, out of sudden, like so happened that there were no classes. Yes, online classes are also available. So one day what happened, like, I sat because something was, I think I was damn free on that day. And I indulged with some of my friends, colleagues there, and I did some gossip, chatting and all. And I was so relaxed. There was no burden. I thought, like, my limbs are relaxed. मेरे में लगता है वजन ही नहीं है. Then that day literally I experienced कि यार gossip करने में बड़ा मजा आता है. But then obviously आपके goals अधूरे रह जाते हैं gossiping में. So this, watching different videos बिना काम के, okay, and without any reason coming on Facebook and all, it's a sheer wastage of time. Okay, so आपको थोड़ा बहुत entertainment allow है, लेकिन जब तक आपका goal हासिल नहीं हो जाता, and goal is again getting the goal of a professor is again a goal. There will be a library to win. Okay, you have to read. If you don't read, your students will not like you, because I have this experience. Students class में पहले ही message भिजवा देते हैं, sir, do you have something special to teach? Because if you are going to teach us whatever is in our course, we have already finished that. Okay, so you have to be ready with research and all, so that you can impress your students and then they can listen to you. So आपको बहुत लंबी जर्नी है आपकी, आगे आइए. What I was trying to say कि सेंसेशन का रोमांटिसिज्म स्टार्ट क्यों हुआ आफ्टर एनलाइटनमेंट? बिकॉज एनलाइटनमेंट का एब्स्ट्रैक्ट रीजनिंग समहाउ बोर्ड द पीपल, ओके, एंड देन द कल्चरल मूवमेंट, फिलोसॉफिकल मूवमेंट, रोमांटिसिज्म स्टार्टेड. ओके, एंड अच्छा, एक और इंपॉर्टेंट बात मुझे कहनी है. दोज हु हैव वॉच्ड माय वीडियो ऑन पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म, दे वुड if they listen it very carefully, they would find that I'm talking about enlightenment there, because enlightenment tried to search the truth and reality, okay, but this postmodernism, what it tells, that actually there is no truth. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि faith in history and progress, that was what enlightenment talked, but all these things were demystified, deconstructed, not demystified, sorry, deconstructed by this postmodernism, because it said that these two things, what faith in history and progress, were questioned, are questionable things. Okay, and एक और नाम लिख लीजिए. फ्रांस में लीडिंग फिगर्स हैं एनलाइटनमेंट के वॉल्टेयर, एंड इन इंग्लैंड इट इज Jonathan Swift. If you know his skeptic work, this Gulliver's Travels, and almost all, he's a satirist. Why this satirist write or they get converted into a satirist? They write satires because satires are, वो आपके अंदर कुछ कुल बुला रहा है, that want to question mark, want to make fun of you, जो established ideas हैं. Okay, and अब लिखिए कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें. एनलाइटनमेंट लिटरेचर लिखिए. एनलाइटनमेंट लिटरेचर में आपके पास है द ब्लेजिंग वर्ल्ड, द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ अ न्यू वर्ल्ड. द ब्लेजिंग वर्ल्ड बुक का नाम लिखिए आप लोग. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बुक, रिटन बाय मार्गरेट कैवेंडिश, द डचेस ऑफ न्यू कासल. This book was published in 1666. You can call it a kind of first book where this writer is talking about a new world, a kind of utopia. Okay, and second important thing is the micrographia. Many of you must not be aware about this book, micrographia. Okay, or some physiological descriptions of. It's a long subtitle of this book, so better I leave it to you so that I can save your time. Write down this book. I'm talking about, at the end of this lecture, the famous books of Enlightenment period. Okay, micrographia. Okay, let me read the subtitle. Some physiological descriptions of minute bodies made by magnifying glasses, with observations and inquiries thereupon. It was written by Robert Hooke. Okay. No, I don't think, Aditi Banerjee, that enlightenment is a constant process, because I think you're taking this enlightenment as a common word with small e, and here I am talking about enlightenment with capital E as a social and political movement. Okay, otherwise enlightenment, without enlightenment a human being cannot exist. Okay, And then there is the third enlightenment, and that is moksha. Okay, that real knowledge one gets. Clear? And Robert Hooke ने ये book लिखी थी Micrographia, okay, in 1665. Okay, it was the first major publication of Royal Society. I talked about Royal Society, that how it contributed in the publication of all the great scientific knowledge and all. Third important book is Leviathan. आपको Leviathan पढ़नी ही चाहिए because Thomas Hobbes is a great writer, and I think on every alternate net they ask us questions on Thomas Hobbes. Okay, and then Candide, or Candide, you know. Next book is Utopia. I have already delivered a lecture on Utopia, not on FB and YouTube, but in my online class. And next book is Vindications of the Rights of Women. Don't blame me, I have not added the other books also, because I think like I would be talking about the other books in the next lecture. Clear? So this is all about today's grand lecture on enlightenment. Those who are watching me on YouTube, kindly write comments after watching the video, that how you got, what you got, okay, and how your perceptions changed after attending the session. Thank you very much.